We navigate a three-dimensional world every day, but our eyes actually cheat. They only feed our brains two-dimensional images. Take a perfect sphere. If you strip away the lighting and shadows, your brain can't tell it apart from a completely flat circle. Now imagine an organism living on a perfectly flat plane, unable to look up or down. If you cast a three-dimensional object right through their world, they wouldn't see the whole shape. They would only see impossible cross-sections that appear from nowhere, change size, and suddenly vanish. This is exactly why it's so difficult to picture higher dimensions like the fourth or fifth. We are trapped in our own perceptual flatland, trying to look up into a geometry we physically do not have the hardware to see. To map the architecture of reality, we need to abandon our biology. We have to stop trying to picture the multiverse and start building it mathematically from scratch, step by step. We start in the void with the absolute beginning, the zeroth dimension. It is a single, infinitely small mathematical coordinate. It has no width, no height, no length, and no direction. It simply marks a location. From here, we apply the core rule of dimensional math. You take that point and you drag it. You now have the first dimension, a measurable line extending left and right, with length but nothing else. Push that line sideways, perpendicular to itself, and you create the second dimension. We now have a plane with length and width. It allows for complex visual information, much like the figures on this ancient Egyptian papyrus, sliding around on a surface with absolutely no depth. Extrude that flat plane upward, and we reach home. The third dimension gives us depth. This specific mathematical framework allows for stable orbits to form, gravity to function, and matter to clump together into complex structures like human brains. The math doesn't stop at 3. If you apply the exact same rule and push that 3D cube into a new perpendicular space, you generate a 4-dimensional shape. This is a tesseract, a structure made of cubes locked inside one another. Look closely at that shape, and you'll realize it's a lie. It's just a 2D projection on a screen, mimicking 3D geometry trying to represent 4D space. Your brain physically cannot process what a true tesseract looks like. Because pure spatial geometry breaks down for us right here, we have to change the way we approach the map. To move past the third dimension, we have to stop measuring physical space and start measuring reality itself. Think about any event in the universe. Only having the X, Y, and Z coordinates of a coffee shop is useless if you arrive 100 years before it was built. To actually find an event, you need a fourth coordinate, when. Space and time are one unified fabric, known as space-time. Time acts as a literal physical axis in the universe, a concept firmly grounded in Albert Einstein's theories of relativity. If a hypothetical 4-dimensional being looked at you right now, they wouldn't see you experiencing passing seconds. They would see your entire life as a single static object, a long, continuous block, stretching entirely from your birth to your death, all at once. We, however, are constantly dragged along this fourth dimension. Because the light bouncing off objects takes time to reach our eyes, we are forever locked into perceiving the past, completely unable to see the true present. If the fourth dimension maps out a single, fixed timeline from start to finish, that leaves no room for free will or alternate choices. To measure those other possible outcomes, we must step mathematically up into the fifth dimension. The fifth dimension is the axis of what if. It's the probability space where every choice, every random quantum event, and every decision you've made creates a branching timeline stretching out from the present. Now, take all of those endlessly branching paths, every possible history of our entire universe, and mathematically treat them as a single point. You are now holding the sixth dimension. Looking at this massive map, your specific existence is cosmically improbable. You are the result of an exact, unbroken chain of extremely specific events, ancestors meeting at precise moments across millions of years that only exists on a tiny fraction of these timelines. Since this sixth-dimensional point contains every conceivable variation of our universe, from the Big Bang to the end, we've run out of local possibilities. To map anything higher, we have to break the underlying laws of physics. Welcome to the seventh dimension. We take our entire universe's point, and we draw a line connecting it to a reality where the baseline rules themselves, like gravity or the speed of light, are entirely different. Physicists point out that the vast majority of these seventh-dimensional universes are completely dead. Without our incredibly narrow, perfectly tuned starting conditions, atoms fail to form, stars never ignite, and these realities play out briefly in total darkness. This is the mathematical eighth dimension, pushing past different constants into entirely alien mathematical frameworks. This maps out realities with completely different ways of having laws altogether, where concepts like gravity or even time flowing forward might not exist at all. Connect all of those alien frameworks, and we arrive at the indescribable chaos of the ninth dimension. In string theory, this involves compactification, tiny curled-up geometries connecting modal realities that share absolutely no concept of a beginning, an end, or physics as we know it. Finally, we take this infinite, sprawling chaos of every possible law and framework, and we compress it into one final mathematical point, the 10th, or in M-theory, the 11th dimension. This is the mathematical end of the line, absolute infinity. It holds all possible universes, all timelines, and all configurations that could ever conceivably exist, and it connects to absolutely nothing else. Higher dimensions serve as the invisible mathematical scaffolding of reality, rather than physical destinations reachable by spaceship. We exist as hyper-specific, highly improbable coordinates, vibrating within an